right, we are live. Welcome to this panel. I'm now the host of this meeting, which means that I have all the power, and it is a pretty good feeling. Okay, so this is And We're Live, Secrets to Successful Streaming. I didn't do the And We're Live bit like as a joke. This is just how it came out. So it is a very aptly titled panel. If you would like to hang out with us in the Discord, we are in Swooperton A. Please come around and chat and ask some questions. We would, you know, streaming, we want interaction here. So I am Claire. My pronouns are she, her. I am a booktuber. My day job is working for a gaming YouTube channel, and we stream fairly regularly. I am the I'm the chat reader person. You know, gameplay is happening over there, and I'm just asking questions. So that's my kind of streaming experience as a little bit of background. This is going to be a slightly more informal panel because about streaming, and that's kind of what streaming is like. We are probably going to take more questions from Discord like throughout rather than at the end in the kind of typical panel fashion. And I'm going to ask my panelists to introduce themselves, and I'm going to ask everybody to bear with me if I'm not making sense, because I just moved house 2 days ago and I'm very tired.
Isn't it,
Sorry. I just have a tiny bit of delay, so.
Go ahead, Megan.
Oh, hello, I'm Megan. My pronouns are she, her. I am a TTRPG streamer and designer, and I'm super excited to talk a little bit about streaming RPGs, which is like one of my favorite things to do. So
awesome. My name's Malcolm. I stream on Twitch at Earl Grey Tay. My streams can best be described as whimsical chaos. Most of what I stream is The Sims 2, but I'm a variety streamer, and you know how that goes.
Oh, the good old times. The Sims 2, when it was actually quite hard. Dear, oh dear. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna not have any Sims 4 opinions because it's too late in the day for that. Where I am.
Sims 4 opinions are quite the thing for everybody, I think.
It's a nonsense game. It's maybe we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Let's see. Okay, so I guess the first thing that I would like to ask both of you is to maybe talk a little bit about your origin story with cat. There's a cat. There's a cat.
There's a cat. Yes.
Well, cat.
That's like rule number 1 of streaming. If there's a cat, you stop and talk about the cat.
Yes, there's the cat. This is Oswin. She's probably gonna start screaming to get fed, but she can get fed when my husband gets home, so she can sit there and say hi.
I mean, this is perfect. Like she clearly knows like what her job is in this, which is to be like, you know, interesting in the background. Okay, so she's very cute. Yes, I wanted to ask you about your origin story and like kind of how you got started into streaming, because it's one of those things, you know, when you try to explain to people who don't know about streaming what you do. So I'm interested in like how it started for you, and we'll go with Malcolm first.
Well, I'm disabled and I have a lot of time on my hands in which I can't leave the house. I started streaming partly as a way to deal with the, isolation and loneliness, and I started streaming on YouTube and then moved to Twitch, and here we are.
Yeah, it's something that I've heard a lot from people who come into the streams that I moderate this year in particular. The kind of like, you know, I mean, obviously it was the same for us as the people putting on the stream, but for people watching, how deeply meaningful it's been, especially this year when, you know, It's been pointed out in the disability community that a lot of able-bodied people are suddenly thrust into circumstances that disabled people have had to deal with for a long time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Megan.
Yeah, so like I said, I stream pretty much exclusively tabletop role-playing games. I applied to be part of a show on a channel and got on the show and played with a group of people that we really clicked after the show started. So we kind of started our own streaming group, and we're now hosted on another Twitch channel where we stream every week. I additionally host my own Twitch or my own show once a month on that same channel. So that kind of evolved from there. I've also have friends who have channels, so I've streamed other content like on friends' channels. So I don't stream on my own under my own name, but I'm hosted other places. But yeah, it started with one stream, and then it kind of, as it does, just snowballed from there.
Yeah. Mm. Of course, of course. And I'm interested in kind of hearing about the type of streaming that you both do because, Megan, you brought up that you were obviously playing, doing, what is it? Sorry, I
Tabletop.
forgot. I
Yeah.
forget the wording that is used generally for this. It's
Yeah,
live action.
TTRPGs. Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry,
TTRPGs.
I didn't. I was on a panel earlier with somebody else who had a really fancy way of putting it, and I completely forgot it. That's neither here nor there. I'm very sorry.
Oh, good.
But yeah, just are there any times that you do like different types of streams? Do you find things to be different between a stream that's like maybe just tabletop RPG, or maybe playing a video game, or maybe doing more of an AMA kind of a chat thing? Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that we can do.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. For me, it really depends. I feel like when it's something, I'm on an ongoing actual play series. We're playing the game Quest.
Actual play.
Um, we're playing the game Quest, and that is much more of a performative type thing where it's a game we play amongst ourselves, but it's really also there's like obviously a performance aspect of it. So there's a little, not a disconnect between like us and the viewers and stuff like that, but it really is like kind of an inclusive like performance type thing. Whereas like on my stream, or on my show, I facilitate GM-less games with people, and there's a lot more like engagement with us in the chat. It's a little more informal, and the same with like if we do like at the end of each season, we'll do like AMAs, which is a lot
Yeah.
more interactive, as well as I found with like video game streaming and stuff like that. And Malcolm probably knows a little bit better,
Yeah.
being a mainly video game streamer, but having and there's a dog.
I mean, it's like bingo cards, cat,
Yeah,
dog. This is excellent.
yeah,
I approve
yeah.
of it.
So with like an actual play series, there's a little less like audience interaction, whereas a more informal TTRPG show or an AMA or something like that is a lot more interactive between us in the chat. So that's probably like the biggest difference that I've felt across like the different types of streams that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of video game streaming is honestly audience interaction. Like, it's a little bit like being a DJ. If you think about it, except that instead of putting on different records, you're putting on different games, and talking to people in between.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm I find also that there's a kind of a different vibes within different specific gaming, niches
yes.
or communities,
Mhm.
right? Because the channel that I work for is kind of like, we play a lot of Fallout, we play a lot of grand strategy games, but we'll stream like just kind of a variety of things, right?
Yeah.
But just because of quite frankly, just because my partner who does the gaming just can't focus on several things at a time, he doesn't actually read the chat, like I read to him. And that's something that I found, I watch most of the streams that I watch are Sims streams, and that is not what happens. So I find
Oh,
that a very interesting difference.
it really is. And the really funny thing is, so when I started streaming, I still go all over the place depending on what my mood is. But when I started streaming, I was playing exactly two games. I was playing The Sims 2, and I was playing The Hobbit for GameCube. I have a long-standing vendetta against The Hobbit for GameCube, and so I thought it would be funny to play it on stream and see if I could finally beat it. Because I've been trying to play that game to beat that game since I was a titchy little thing who thought that The Hobbit as a video game, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. What do you mean? There's a force stealth section in the first real level that you can't actually use the game's sneaking mechanics to beat.
Uh-huh.
It's a trash fire. And I
Oh,
thought
one of those.
it's but because it's such a trash fire, you get the speed runners. So for the longest time I had two different vibes going on with the new people coming into my chat, because on the one hand you had the people who just liked my Sims nonsense, and oh, Claire's disappeared into the ether. Sorry, Claire.
She'll return.
She will. Jordan in the chat asked, "Do you use certain analytics to decide the times for streaming?" I actually don't. One of the things I decided when I started streaming was that if I tried to chase trends, I would go a little bit crazy. I play the things I want to play and just don't give a toss.
Yeah, with me having my shows hosted on another channel, scheduling was a big part of it. But we have found as we track more so some other folks in my streaming group more so than I do watch the analytics and watch like our viewership counts and things like that. And really it helps us because we always stream in the same chunk of time, but we always take a break midway through, and we use that kind of to track like if our viewership is like going really well, we'll put off going on a break a little bit to try to like maintain that viewership, and like knowing that around certain times we'll get rated by other channels, and using that kind of thing. Scheduling was really the main thing. Like it was a time slot that worked well for all of us, but we've shuffled like half hour earlier, half hour later to see how it works, but we've determined that like the time slot we're in now is the most catches the most people. I think a big part of scheduling is finding a time that is kind of inclusive of multiple time zones.
Yeah.
Is very, very helpful. So the more time zones you can span within your streaming slot is really really big.
Yeah. I have stream regulars in Denmark and Singapore both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a big time gap.
I mean, it is so funny because we at the streams that I do for work. I mean, whenever I gather enough energy to do stream for like my personal booktube channel, it is never like something proper or whatever. It's just like I had spoons today, but for work, obviously, because it's it's two people's paid full-time jobs. it's a bit different, and it is like you were saying, Megan, just a time zone thing, right? We're in the UK, and so we stream kind of like late afternoon, early evening, sometimes super late into the evening because we can't. We're not very sensible, and also, like I said, I work with my partner, so I'm not keeping anybody else awake who wouldn't also be awake, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will start at like 5 in the afternoon if it's a Saturday, 7 in the evening if it's a 6 or 7 if it's a work day. I almost called it a school night, and then I realized I'm 30. Anyway, so yeah, I mean but we have people who come every single week and who are in Australia, and it's like 4 a.m. I'm just like, but clearly it works for their schedule. So
yeah, I think that's one of the things that's been holding me back from further success, honestly, is just, like I said, I'm disabled. I have trouble keeping a consistent amount of spoons through the week. So I can really only do one day consistently, and I picked that one day to be as inclusive of everybody who might want to come to my streams.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it's a really it's a really big
Hi,
thing.
Masha.
Hey.
Sorry, one of my friends popped into the stream, into the
No,
chat.
that's all right. That's I see people giving shout outs. It's funny, all the other panels that I was on, the moderator was like, I'll be in the Discord, you don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, obviously I'm gonna have the Discord open. Like, what else am I gonna do? So it's good to see that it's a common instinct for people who do what we do.
Yeah, I'm in full Twitch mode. I'm like, hi, welcome to stream.
Oh my god, like, when you find a game or an idea that you're like, can't wait to stream that. So I recently got really obsessed with a game that I haven't been able to play for like a week and a half because we've been moving.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I just can't wait to have free time again because I just want an excuse to play Dwarf Romantic for a number of hours because it's so cute.
That sounds adorable.
Yeah, it's like a Carcassonne. It's kind of like Carcassonne, but on and it's hexagon tiles, so it's even cuter. And it's just so addictive. It's really good.
Awesome.
Anyway, just like my priorities in life, Did the cat get settled in okay with the move she did, by the way? And then when can I play this one game? So that's basically it.
It's important to have priorities.
I've had that problem lately. I've been there's a Sims 2 neighborhood that some fans made with custom scripts, which like how in the older Sims games a lot of the families will start with a scenario and you can play through the scenario. Somebody actually figured out how to make those scenarios, and they made a whole Sims neighborhood with their own Sims. I was dying to play this, but it's a murder mystery, and I wanted to figure the mystery out on stream.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. That's really tricky when you have to kind of balance like what would make really good fun content that people would enjoy, and then what's an equitable thing to do for the developer of the game or the CC or whatever it might be.
Yeah,
yeah, interesting. So I guess that kind of goes in a bit more into the kind of description of the panel that we had up that was a bit more focused on giving advice to people who are kind of starting out or who want to start out how to stream. I guess we've already talked a little bit about how you both got started and how you're picking what it is that you want to stream, and that's another aspect with like not spoiling the murder mystery for everybody.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, in further tips, do you have anything that you'd say in terms of like how to get started with, say, a streaming setup, a channel? Like, what kind of things do you need? How can you do it, not ridiculously expensive, all that kind of thing?
Yeah, you don't. I'm trying to think of when I first started, and it's different for me as a TTRPG streamer versus a video game streamer, because the I feel like um the technological component of it is a little less. Like, I don't need to worry about graphics and that kind of stuff. Like, I when I first started, it was just like me on my laptop
Mm,
in a room in my house, and it's evolved from there. Once it became a larger part of my life and what I do on a regular basis, things kind of evolved from there. But as far as like streaming, like the type of streaming that I do, you don't really need, like, I think probably the most important thing is have a camera that works, and have a mic that has good sound quality. Um, and that's really all you need. And with something like TTRPGs, there's a huge, um, across the TTRPG community, there's so many channels that run open calls and things like that throughout the year, casting
mm,
calls for shows. If you think that it's something that you might want to kind of get into, that's a really great way to start. And if you start there and find out that you like it, you can kind of evolve from there. Um,
yeah.
like there's it's something it's not difficult to get into, because once you are able to like get over that bar to entry, it kind of just like snowballs from
Mm.
there. um,
Yeah, because obviously, like you were saying, the hardware of the camera, the
mhm,
microphone,
right.
there is a barrier to entry. There's a lot of very good free software though.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm
OBS,
expecting that I know what you'll recommend, but please go and recommend some software.
Yeah.
OBS and XSplit. That's what I mean, it's not working very well because of the virtual background, but that's what I'm using to stream from Castle Dracula.
It's very fancy. I like
It
it.
is.
So, what can you say again? I didn't get the second bit. Got OBS, but I didn't get the second thing you said.
It's called XSplit. It's a free background filtering camera app. They do
Oh yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
watermark, but it's kind of easy to crop.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm just getting links for folks in the Discord.
Yep.
Um,
And
I
the other thing I would say is your bit rate is really important. If you don't have a good and consistent bit rate, your streams are going to suffer for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
I'm I'm on a hotspot on my phone because I don't have Wi-Fi yet. So this is. I'm sorry if I keep breaking off a little bit.
Oh no, you're fine. It's like I said, it's the most important thing is just making sure that your connection, a
Mm.
blocky but stable connection, is better than a fast but frame dropping one.
Mhm.
Just make sure you've got the bit rate set to what your computer can handle and what your viewers can. I've been streaming at like 240p, and I just upgraded my interconnect connection, and it has made watching my VOD so much more bearable.
Mm.
So I can only imagine what it's been like for my streams.
Megan, do you handle any of the software side, or is that handled by the
um
company
we
channel?
all so right now I live in slightly left of nowhere, middle of the woods. So I have not the most superb upload speed with my internet.
Mm.
So I have run tech for streams before, but my internet is very finicky, and though I have a decent download, my upload just doesn't.
Yeah.
So there have been times, so like I know how to run streams. We use OBS for the channel. But generally speaking, it kind of rotates with whoever is able to run tech at that time. It's really useful that there's a bunch of us that know how to do it. But generally speaking, I don't handle that just because of my location not having the best internet.
Yeah, and a really good question from Discord. How do you figure out what your computer can handle in terms of the bitrate?
Well, I used a guide. I don't know where the link is now. I mean, I just Googled how to set bitrate for Twitch stream. Please help. Am panic.
Fair
But
enough.
most people's computers should be able to handle 720p. And if you look it up, you'll be able to find a guide that shows you what the bitrate is for 720p. And if you want to stream in HD, which is more important for the kind of shooty bang games that I don't play, you'll need a higher bitrate for that. I mostly figured it out through Googling and trial and error. Once I started dropping frames, I lowered the bitrate.
Yeah.
That's how I learned that I don't have the bitrate to run a lot of the tech in the definition that we run our shows in, is watching the frames drop. I'm like, all right, well, maybe not.
Well, I mean, it does go back to the thing we were saying in the green room before coming on, which is a lot of streaming is just winging it.
Yep.
And you
gotta
have to
be ready. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the description for the panel goes camera shy, curious, hit record a few times, but feel like you're talking to yourself, which to me is funny because I film videos as well as streaming, and whenever I film videos and I talk to a camera, I always feel like an absolute muppet. It doesn't go away.
No.
But
No.
I mean, I don't know. I just want to have opinions about things more, I suppose.
One of the things that helps with and this is something I'd recommend for if you have streamer friends and you want to support them. One of the things that really helps is having just one friend who is super active in the chat and who is willing to make terrible jokes at you and encourage you to do terrible things to your Sims.
Yeah.
Or, try the stupid risky play, or, just somebody who is there egging you on in the best way possible. Just even having one person like that can make such a difference.
Yeah.
Chat
shout
out
engagement.
to Ilana. They are this person for me for this con.
Yeah. Chat engagement is huge. That's I would like when we're streaming, like having a smaller viewership that are very engaged in chat, like feeds me creatively as a streamer more than a larger viewership where the chat is just deadzo. Just like the engagement, like it's really nice to feed off of that energy
It really
in the chat.
is.
Yeah, and it's very much like, I think that idea of a smaller community that's more engaged being better than a larger community is valid for just so much of video creation content, because you always hear people talking about not looking at the YouTube comments, but if the more like that, the more, I don't know, not curated, but you know what I mean, like the more of a supportive community you have and the more an engaged community you have, the less you're gonna have people being horrible, or they'll be outweighed at the very least, which is very good. But yeah, I think I guess how do you get people coming back so that they become those regulars, right? I know, I mean, both of you with the RPG and also, of course, with The Sims, which is, both of those things are storytelling. So I'm going to assume there's something to come back for the next episode. But is there anything else that you do that's kind of like making people feel like they're a part of this community so they want to come back?
Yeah, like in engagement is so big. I know like our streams, like we have people who it's an ongoing show, so we have people that join us every single week to see what's happening with these characters, and
Mm.
just I think a big part of that is just engaging with people, like engaging with people in chat and letting them know that we appreciate that they're watching this silly story that we're telling together, and that we appreciate people's support and investment in something that we're doing is huge. Just making sure that your audience, your community, the people who are watching you, just making sure they feel appreciated and valued, because
Mm.
it's a like from where I'm coming from, we are in our fourth season of
Ooh.
our show, and we have people that have come every week, and it's 3 hours a week for the past 40 weeks. Like that's a huge time commitment for people, and it matters. And it's what keeps every streamer going, is having that engagement and having those people that support them, even if it's not monetarily, just supporting them by showing up and talking in the chat
Yes.
and letting them know that what you're doing is worthwhile and entertaining for people. Means a lot.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I have found honestly helps engagement on my streams more than anything is just letting people name my Sims. My Sims, let me put it this way. The reason my
Oh,
channel
naming
is,
things.
yeah, the little dudes with the plump
No,
ups.
no, no. No, sorry. Please go ahead and say my thing after you're done. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's no worries. One of the things that my channel is unfortunately marked 18 plus because of a couple of incidents with very, very excitable Sims. Let's put it that way. One of the aspirations in Sims 2 is romance, which means a lot of Casanova behavior.
Uh-huh.
And so, with one of the mods I have installed, they have quite a few children that were
I
not
was gonna
intended.
ask you what mods you had on that that led to that, but
The one for Sims 2 is called Autonomous Casual Romance, and it's
yes.
intended to just let Sims have romantic interactions with more free will involved, and it's not very explicit, but it does mean that they do a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah,
And
I mean there
so
are some very explicit mods, but yeah.
I don't, after one unfortunate incident, I don't run those on my stream.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That sounds off. Like I can imagine, and that sounds like the worst. I'm sorry.
The incident made cover your ears, children's. We have a running in joke now about full frontal ogre nudity because Shrek and Fiona were both townies that I put into my hood, and
Loving the
Fiona,
chat.
I had a well anyway, they have a lot of children, and so I encourage my viewers to name the children. We have had children named such beautiful things as Suffering and Eldritch and other hilarious, wonderful names. And coming back to see what happens to Suffering really helps. Giving people the power to, if they save up a lot of channel points, tell me how to make a sim that gets to wander around as a townie. That was the origin of Shrek and Fiona and
Yeah, of course.
B Movie and Satan.
Oh,
We have when I said
sounds
whimsical
awesome.
chaos, I was not kidding.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. It sounds really amazing. I was laughing earlier when you said naming things, because like I mentioned, the stream that I work for, the person playing does not actually manage the chat or read the chat. So when there's like because I'm, you know, reading out loud to him. So when we have to name things, the chat goes like suggesting loads of names, and I have to pass through them. And you know, sometimes it'll just be people saying, "Can you name a character this or that?" Sometimes if we're playing like say Civ 6, it'll be like the name for the city, and it's like, well, the person who can find the best pun for, you know, this city that's by the sea and has grain and gold, and it has to be a pun based on like a city name. And then it's like, and then I have to put on like slow mode chat,
Oh God.
you know, to make sure that that I can actually read the stuff. So you know, stream when there's a stream where naming things is gonna have to happen, I get told in advance so I can mentally prepare myself. But we have some really interesting questions in chat. Alana says that I'm kind of on the other side of the fence because I'm a mod and admin rather than a streamer, but to what extent do you personally feel that you influence your communities? For instance, obviously not the case for you lot, but in gatekeeping communities, you tend that the behavior of the streamers who are kind of, oh, I don't know if I can curse, who are kind of horrible, that gets reflected in the community. So there you go. To what, how do you feel, or how much do you feel, or do you feel that you do at all influence your community with your behavior?
Yeah, it's so important. Like, community is not a noun, it's a verb. Like, your actions, the space that you create, is a direct reflection of you. And you want to make sure that you are creating a space that's reflective of what you want to experience. And if you want to make a safe, inclusive place for people to come and just have fun and exist. And a huge part of it is immediately shutting down the negativity, the bad people that would come in. So I also mod for our channel, and that's like there's no space for harmful negative behavior, and that's what all of the mods for our channel, the mods that are in like our Discord community, like everything like that, like we strive to really create an open, inclusive, safe space for people to exist together. And it's work to make a space like that, but it takes everybody. It's not just, oh well, it's the admins of the channel or it's the mods that are in charge of it. Like, it's everybody that has their hand in it. And as streamers, it's important that you're making sure that you are embodying the type of community that you want to cultivate.
Yeah. I think another thing to remember is just that you can't be a safe space for everybody. There's always going to be somebody who is not comfortable or not willing to be part of the community you're making, and it's important to make sure that you know, this is what I'm going to do, this is what my limits are. I am going to warn for content that could be upsetting, or you know, but also, you know, like I said, that's why I've erred on the side of my channel being 18 plus. I mean, that and the fact that I have a potty mouth when I play video games.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you know, when you say not everybody's going to be comfortable, obviously you have things like, you know, needing to warn for certain type of content because people will, in a very valid way, not feel comfortable with that. But then also you've got people who will feel uncomfortable for reasons of them being bigots and such like. And that is just not who you want to, you know, you can't be inclusive to everybody, but you know, you don't I think a lot of the time, especially in video game spaces, people talk about, like censorship and being told that they can't say what they want and all of that. And it's all very kind of like, it can get very drama llama and
Yeah.
bad faith arguments. And I think it's really important to keep in mind that you're not just shutting people out because you don't like the things that they say. You are making sure that everybody else is seeing the space that doesn't have, hatred in it or things like that.
The
So
worst thing is just the drive-bys,
how do you
honestly.
find good? Yeah, that's true. How do you find good channel mods from the chat? I'm starting to feel the need for them on my channel, but I don't want my friend who've supported me thus far to feel obligated if they don't want to make that commitment. Yeah,
That is a really good.
Yeah.
I can't give too much advice on that because I lucked out. One of my really good friends is her partner runs a stream himself, so she's really used to modding for streams. And between that and the fact that my channel is still pretty small, and the Sims community, while not the most chill, is generally not prone to stirring up that sort of nonsense. Puppy.
She's back. I feel like I hear the other and the other ones here too. They're all just parading in.
So
yeah.
So I can't give advice there because I lucked out.
Oh.
Yeah, big stretch. That's Indiana. Kima is the other
Sorry,
one.
you froze and I couldn't see the dogs and I was sad. Anyway.
Oh. I think if you have friends
Yeah, I mean that's the rule, right? If they do any size of stretch, you have to say big stretch.
Oh, big stretch. And she does the biggest, most exaggerated stretches. It's amazing. I think there's not a bad thing with asking your friends, as long as they know that they're not obligated to. Like if you were to mention like, hey, I'm thinking maybe adding some mods to the channel, like, is that something you'd like? I trust you to know what it is I stand for, what it is I want here in my chats, like by putting that out there, be like, I trust you that I would ask you to do this, but please don't feel obligated to, because I don't want it to feel like a chore or anything like that. Like just being open, but like going to friends who are in your streams often is not a bad place to start.
Yeah, and I would say one thing that's a good advice for always. Okay, I said that funny. I'm sorry. One thing that's always a good piece of advice is that if you need help, you should feel free to ask for help. And I mean, not necessarily just asking your friends to help who are regulars in your streams, and not necessarily just saying to people in your audience, like, would anyone be interested in modding? But also, if you have other friends who also stream, maybe they have slightly bigger channels and they already have mods, and you ask them like how they screen their mods, just maybe put out a call for advice on how to, like, it's different, I suppose, for the size of every channel, but when the last time we got some new mods, we did like a round of hiring mods, and like basically said to people, just like put a Google form in the chat, saying if you're interested, just let us know. And then we did interviews, but like we hired a friend of ours as a consultant to run the interviews, who knew what he was doing, because I didn't. And I was just like, how do I don't know how to check if people are competent. Like I'm not a proper adult. So yeah, asking for help, and also just keeping an eye on the gut feeling that you get from people, because someone might say like a really good thing when they're sending you an email asking you to be a mod, but if you're like, not feeling 100% about them in chat, just don't. This is more bother than it's worth. Okay, let's see if we have other questions that I have missed.
Jordan Jordan asked what kind of growth you should be happy with and what's average. My channel is actually really small. It's only like 200 followers, and it's been that size for a year. But if you're getting 3 to 5 new followers a stream, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, and it also is not it's not going to always be linear, you know. I mean, I have to say I speak more for YouTube than Twitch because that's where my experience is. But I think in terms of the growth of a channel, it is so slow and difficult to get the first like 1,000, you know, followers or subscribers or whatever, 500, you know, like the more milestones you hit, the more the algorithm that rules everything is like, oh, I suppose you have some value after all, because numbers. So yeah, don't define yourself by that growth, and it just rises over time as you have more stuff on your platform that people can go back and catch up with.
Honestly, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, if you're intending to do this for a living, I understand, and you do absolutely have to keep an eye on your numbers and make sure that you're not like losing people. But really, don't worry about where you are in relation to other people if you can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like make personal goals, and
Yes.
then you judge yourself based on what you want to happen. Is saying like if you want to make a goal of X amount of new followers a stream or X amount of subs a stream, like that's a good way to stick to it. That's not just some ambiguous number that someone else has deemed correct. Like set goals for yourself, and then you can move up, go that way, or saying like I want to have X amount of followers, X amount of subs by this date, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would say if I'm a person who sets too big of goals because, you know, I don't know how to help myself. But one piece of advice that I've really found invaluable is to set goals based on what you've done before. So, you know, you want to improve your channel growth. How many new followers did you get in the last week? In the last month, whatever, adds that, you know, 2%, 5%, 10%, you know, and go from that, because, you know, you can't. And also that's out of your control. But we're almost out of time, so I was just wondering if anybody has anything else that you absolutely want to say, or you know, any questions coming up, burning questions in the chat, because we are going to have to wrap up very soon. Let's see, I've got people typing. There's also a really good conversation going on in the chat, by the way.
Really?
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And also, Jordan, if you're the person that I think you are, you really do already have an audience, and you've built it, and they're probably going to come. It's just going to take a bit.
Yeah, if you have an audience elsewhere and you're doing a new thing, I would say talk about it on your social media approximately 5 times more than you think is reasonable to do. Because when I started a podcast a couple of years ago, I had like 5 episodes of it fully out in the world. And then I went out to dinner with my best friend in the world, and she was like, oh, when are you starting that? And I was like, I've been yelling about it on the internet. And she just hadn't seen it because I yelled about it the amount that I thought wasn't too much. And that's just not, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely
Please tell your pets hi from the chat.
I will tell all of
Amazing.
my pets. I will tell all of my
Yes.
pets hi. 3 out of the 4 have made an appearance
Wow.
during in this last hour.
Mm.
But
They're
yeah,
adorable.
oh, thank you. I won't tell them that because it'll go to their heads. But I think
Um,
that to Claire's point, that's for yeah, like I would be I'm always surprised at the amount of stuff like I'll talk about something and then I'll retweet it like multiple times and think that I'm being annoying and the amount of people that will respond to it on like the fourth or fifth retweet being like, "Oh, I didn't see this before" is astounding. Because my main audience and engagement
yeah.
platform is Twitter, which is cursed. So you have to try really hard
Yeah.
on
I
Twitter to
mean,
get people to see your stuff because it's super cursed. So yeah, just
Twitter is
shout.
the absolute worst.
Jordan in the chat says, I feel like I shilled too much already. And I'm gonna tell you, if you were a person who shilled too much, you wouldn't feel bad about it.
Hmm.
Like, the only ones of us who feel bad about it are people who are like conditioned to feel like we're talking too much or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Take
All
up
right, that
space. The stuff you make is
yeah,
good. People deserve to see it.
yes, exactly.
Let the
And
enshillening commence.
it's not your decision if people want to see it or not. You just need to let them know it's there.
Mhm.
And don't take the decision away from them by not showing it to them.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask you to tell the good people once again where they can find you on the internet, and then I'm gonna pop some links in the chat and go follow everybody on the Cursed Bird app.
Yes,
Uh,
on the cursed bird.
and
Um,
yeah, there's such a fun discussion. Thank you, both of you. And yeah, Malcolm, do you want to tell people where you're at
I'm
again?
typing the links in the chat right now.
It's doing my job for me. That's great. That's what I want to see. uh, let's see. Everybody definitely agrees on Twitter being cursed.
oh, it's so
Uh,
cursed.
I've put all the links to my socials in the
wow,
chat.
so many. All
You can
right, can't
find
wait to
me
check it out.
most on Twitch. I'm at Earl Grey Tay. Oh, I forgot my YouTube. Hang on. My YouTube is just where I post vlogs though, so I'm not sure how many people want that, but hang on.
Yeah, if you can type that in and then Megan can say, because we're gonna have
Yeah.
to go in 3 minutes.
Yes. So hi, I'm Megan, and you can find me most places you can find somebody on the internet, especially on the Cursed Bird app at Megan Lynn FTW. You can find me streaming on Mondays at 6:30 Eastern on twitch.tv/chromatic chimera, with my streaming group No Initiative. I also design TRPGs, and you can find me at meganlynnftw.itch.io. So yeah, that's me. Follow me on the Cursed Bird app. I just post a lot of
Can
memes and
can I
talk
have
about TTRPGs.
Oh, you have an H, don't you?
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry.
MEGHANLYNN
All
Yeah.
right, I am waiting for the links. I will click them all. I did not know who you were before this, so I would really love to catch one of your streams.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I play in a persistent quest campaign Mondays at 6:30 Eastern on Chromatic Chimera, and then the last Tuesday of every month I run a show called Unprepared where I facilitate GMless and prepless games for a rotating cast of whoever I can trick into coming on my show to play a game with me. So
That's
I
amazing.
feel like that's
super
the
fun.
vibe for this
Oh yeah.
for reference, by the way, I'm in London, so it's like 10 to 11 p.m. for me. And I'm like,
We have two people I stream with during Quest are in the UK, and they stream at 6:30
yeah,
Eastern, 11:30
yeah.
BST. And I don't know
Yeah.
how they do it. They just are nocturnal.
Yeah, well, my meds don't work in the evening. Well, I have to stop because I have ADHD, so if I take my medication too late, then I can't sleep. So like
Oh no.
I'm free. I'm free range brained right now, and it's a bit much. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I've put your link tree and your Twitter in the chat, so you can follow everybody.
Thank you so
And
much.
Yes,
I
thank you.
Megan, I will get in touch with you on the Twitter because I have a D&D based book picking game on my booktube channel, and anyway, I'm gonna pick your brain basically, if that's all
Yes,
right.
feel free. My brain is ripe to be picked. All two of my brain cells will get
Yeah,
ready.
I mean, same.
I'll rub them together to create nice thoughts for you.
All right, I'm gonna end
I
the
have-
stream because I'm sure there's something else coming afterwards.
Yep.
But thank you so much, everybody.
Yes.
Bye. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, Flights of Foundry. We're leaving. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.